All right, let's jump right in. We're doing a deep dive today into some Islamic scholarship.
Okay.
And you've given me all these interpretations of the Fatiha.
Yeah.
And I know most people listening probably know this already, but this is the opening chapter of the Quran.
Right.
But it's way more than just like an intro.
Mm-hmm.
It's considered the heart and soul of the Quran.
Yeah.
And it's recited by Muslims around the world multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty important stuff. And it's interesting to me that these verses that are so ingrained in the lives of so many millions of people
Absolutely.
have also been the subject of centuries.
Oh, yeah.
Scholarly debate,
And
analysis.
It's kind of incredible to think about unpacking what these verses mean with some of the most renowned Islamic thinkers in history.
So we're not just looking at a translation here. We're trying to understand what this incredibly important text means on a deeper level.
On a much deeper level.
Yeah. And I think we're going to find some really mind-blowing insights here.
Yeah.
And it starts right away just with the names of the Fatiha.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many names for this chapter, like
there are a lot.
Mother of the Quran.
The Essential.
The Treasure.
The Cure.
The Cure. I mean, it's like
it goes.
Each name is a clue to its
multifaceted nature.
Yeah. I mean, Mother of the Quran, that makes sense. It's the foundation.
Yeah,
right?
The foundation.
But the cure, what kind of healing power are we talking about here?
Well, it's thought to have a profound impact on both the spiritual and physical well-being of those who recite it with sincerity.
Yeah.
And understanding the essential hints at the fact that it contains the core principles of Islam. Each name adds another dimension to our understanding.
So it's like this code we have to crack to figure this all out. And we can't even get to the first verse without running into some controversy.
Yeah.
Because you've got this famous Bismillah at the beginning.
Yes.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. I mean, I think most people, they
breeze right through it.
Yeah. But you're saying that this little phrase.
It's a small phrase.
Has sparked major controversy.
Major scholarly debate. Yeah, for centuries.
Yeah.
Scholars have been debating whether it's actually part of the Fatiha or just a separate invocation.
Okay.
But regardless of where it stands officially, think about what it says, in the name of Allah.
Yeah.
Right from the start.
Yeah.
We're acknowledging this higher power.
Yeah.
We're seeking blessings. We're setting the tone for everything that follows.
So whether it's officially part of the Fatiha or not, it's like
I see it as a spiritual power-up.
And those names, Allah, Rahman, and Rahim, these all point to divine mercy, but they've got different shades of meaning.
Yes.
Like, what are the differences?
So Allah is the all-encompassing name for God.
Okay.
While Rahman suggests this vast universal mercy.
Okay.
And Rahim emphasizes a more personal, intimate kind of mercy.
All right, so my mind's already blown, and we're only at the...
Oh, good. I know, right? We're just getting started.
So let's move on to the first verse of the Fatiha itself. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
Yes.
Praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Seems pretty straightforward.
It does, doesn't it?
But I have a feeling
I think there might be
that there's more to it.
More to it than meets the eye.
Yeah,
this verse is like a theological black hole.
Oh, boy.
Packed with meaning.
Okay.
Even that first word, hamd,
Yeah.
usually translated as praise, doesn't quite capture the full depth. It's more than just saying thank you.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing Allah's ultimate worthiness of all praise.
Okay, so it's not just acknowledging the good things in your life.
No.
It's about understanding that
all praise
inherently belongs to Allah. Whoa, that's deep.
It is. And Ibn Jarir Tabari, one of the most famous Quranic commentators, he connects this verse to the Islamic principle of Tawheed.
Okay.
The oneness of God.
Right.
So it's a declaration that there is no other being worthy of such ultimate praise.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering about this word Rab.
Yeah.
I always thought it just meant Lord.
Right.
But you're making it sound
It's a little more complex than that.
More complex.
Rab implies not only dominion, but also nurturing, guidance, and sustained care.
So it's not just about power and authority.
No.
It's about...
It suggests a relationship between the creator and the creation.
It's about an all-encompassing care.
An all-encompassing care. That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And then there's alamin.
Right. Worlds.
Worlds.
So we're not just talking about Earth here. This is
cosmic level stuff.
Yeah.
Some scholars say that includes everything, angels, jinn, all realms of existence.
Well, hold up a minute.
Right.
I remember hearing a scholar, Newman Khan, say that alamin could also mean nations.
Yeah, that's right. He does say that.
That kind of changes things a bit, doesn't it?
It does, because then it becomes more grounded, more human-centric.
Yeah, like it suddenly feels more relatable.
If we see it as nations, it's a reminder that Allah's lordship extends over all human societies and civilizations, not just the unseen realms.
Okay, so every word here is loaded
with multiple layers of meaning.
Absolutely.
And then we get Rahman, Rahim again.
Yes. The most gracious, the most merciful. Why the repetition?
It's a good question.
Are they just trying to emphasize how merciful Allah is?
So it's not just repetition for emphasis.
Okay.
They reappear here as we're about to encounter the idea of judgment.
Oh.
It's a reminder that even in the face of accountability, divine mercy remains a constant.
So it's like a balance.
It's a balance, yeah.
Mercy and judgment.
Mercy and judgment.
Okay.
And that brings us to the next phrase, master of the day of judgment.
Yeah. Talk about
things just got real.
Yeah, a mood shift.
A little bit of a mood shift.
It feels like we're moving from this gentle guidance to a stark reminder of ultimate accountability.
It's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
That Allah is not just merciful.
Okay.
But also just...
All right.
And there's a nuanced difference in the Arabic words for master here.
Okay.
Malik.
Yeah.
And Malik.
Okay.
Malik has the sense of overarching ownership.
Okay.
While Malik is more about active rulership.
Okay, so are you saying that the Fatiha is hinting at these two different ways that Allah is the master?
Potentially, yeah.
Of the Day of Judgment?
That's one interpretation.
Like one is about ultimate authority and the other one's about actually like making the judgments.
Making the judgment calls.
Yeah.
And Newman Khan makes a really interesting point about this.
Okay.
He says that Allah's mercy doesn't negate his justice. We are accountable for our actions.
Okay.
And the Day of Judgment is the ultimate manifestation of that accountability.
Okay, so we've gone from praise and mercy to a stark reminder of judgment.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, from divine attributes to a very personal plea.
Okay.
The next part of the Fatiha is where we shift from contemplating God to directly addressing him.
Okay.
You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help.
Okay, hold on. Worship comes first.
Yeah.
Before asking for help.
It seems backwards.
It seems backwards.
It's not. It establishes a fundamental principle.
Okay.
True reliance on God flows from sincere devotion and surrender to his will.
So it's not just about, like, getting what you want.
No.
It's about
recognizing the source of all power and support.
And only then can you ask for help.
And only then can you truly ask for help.
Yeah, that's a pretty radical idea.
It is.
If you really think about it.
It is.
And then it leads us to what I think is like the heart.
Yeah.
Is the Fatiha.
The heart of it all.
Guide us to the straight path.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about.
This is what it's all about.
This universal longing for direction,
and
purpose, guidance, Side al-Mustaqim, the straight path. Those words are loaded.
Loaded words.
I mean, tell me about this.
So Hidayah isn't just any guidance, it's divine guidance.
Right.
And Sirat al-Mustaqim is not a physical path.
Right.
It's a way of life that leads to God.
Yeah.
And some scholars even say that the entire Fatiha is a microcosm of the Quran.
Yeah.
With this verse being the essence of it all.
Yeah, it's like the Fatiha is giving you the cheat codes for a meaningful life.
I like that, yeah.
But then it gets even more specific. It doesn't just say guide us.
Right.
It says guide us to the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor.
All right, so now the question is, who are these lucky folks?
Who are these people?
Who exactly is on this straight path?
Well, there are different interpretations.
Okay.
Some say it's the prophets and their followers.
Okay.
Others believe it specifically refers to the community of Prophet Muhammad.
So it's not about just following a set of rules blindly.
No.
It's about understanding the qualities and actions
exactly.
of those who earned God's favor.
Of those who earned God's favor and trying to emulate them.
Yeah, and trying to emulate them.
Yeah.
But then the Fatiha throws us a curveball here at the end.
It does. It ends with this stark contrast. Not the path of those who incurred your wrath, nor of those who went astray.
Right.
Whoa.
Like a warning sign at a crossroads.
Yeah, so there are paths to avoid.
Paths to avoid.
And it sounds like there are different ways to get off track.
Different ways to get off track.
Like what?
So wrath suggests a conscious rebellion against God.
Okay.
While going astray implies more of an accidental veering off course. It's like the Fatiha is acknowledging the different ways we can get lost.
Even with good intentions.
Even with good intentions, yeah.
Man, this is getting deep.
It is.
And we haven't even finished the first 7 verses.
We've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, boy.
There's so much more to explore.
Okay, so we've got these 2 paths to avoid. The path of wrath and the path of going astray.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these verses have been interpreted. Historically, some scholars have linked these to specific religious communities.
Okay.
But I think there's also a universal message here, something that speaks to the human condition as a whole.
So you're saying even if you're not part of those specific groups, that the Fatiha is still warning you?
I think so, yeah.
About these potential pitfalls.
About these pitfalls.
That makes it feel a lot more...
It definitely makes it more relevant for us today.
And relevant to me today.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you think about wrath.
Yeah.
It implies this conscious turning away from God. A deliberate rebellion.
It's deliberate rebellion.
Have you ever felt that kind of anger?
Oh, yeah.
That frustration that makes you want to push back against everything?
It's so human to feel that way.
Yeah.
Especially when...
Like when life throws you a curveball,
yeah.
You know, and it's easy to get...
It's easy to get caught up in that why me kind of anger.
Not why me kind of anger.
Yeah. And that's where the danger lies.
Yeah.
Because that anger can lead you down a path that takes you further away from God, from peace.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about going astray?
Yeah.
That feels different to me.
It does feel different.
It's not about anger.
Yeah.
It's more about just like getting lost.
Getting lost, yeah. And sometimes getting lost isn't even a dramatic event. It can be a slow drift.
Yes.
A gradual losing sight of what's truly important. You might even have good intentions.
Right.
But you get caught up in the distractions of life, the busyness, the pursuit of things that ultimately don't matter.
And before you know it, you're
miles off course.
Miles off course.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's kind of unsettling.
It is a little unsettling.
You think you're on the right path, and you've been subtly veering off course.
Subtly veering?
The whole time. So how do you even know?
Yeah, how do you know?
If you're going astray.
Right.
It's not like there are road signs or like GPS for your soul.
Well, in a way, the Fatiha is that GPS. It's constantly reminding you to check your bearings, to realign yourself with the divine.
So it's encouraging self-reflection.
Encouraging self-reflection, asking you to honestly assess your choices, motivations.
So it's not about being perfect.
No.
It's about being...
It's about being aware, being intentional.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about these different readings of Malik, Master of the Day of Judgment, earlier. Can you just remind me again?
Of course.
Like, why is that little difference such a big deal?
So remember how Malik has that sense of overarching ownership?
Right.
While Malik is more about actively ruling, some scholars have connected those readings to different aspects of the Day of Judgment.
So Malik is about Allah's absolute power and authority over that day.
That's one way to look at it.
And Malik is about him actually making the judgment calls.
Yeah.
It's like he's both the supreme judge and the one who set the law.
Sets the law.
In the first place.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
It highlights the complexity of divine justice.
Yeah, but now I'm curious about something else.
Okay.
The Fatiha ends pretty abruptly.
Yeah.
There's no mention of heaven.
Right.
Hell, what happens after we die.
Nope.
It's kind of a cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger ending.
Ending, don't you think?
I find that one of the most thought-provoking aspects of the Fatiha.
Yeah.
It's almost as if it's saying, focus on getting this life right, and the afterlife will take care of itself.
So it's not about racking up points.
Not about racking up points.
The afterlife.
No.
It's about living a life.
Living a meaningful life.
That's truly meaningful right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Making the most of this.
Making the most of this opportunity.
The opportunity we've been given.
Precisely.
Yeah, okay, I can definitely get behind that.
It's a beautiful way to put it.
But I want to get into some of the more nitty-gritty
stuff about the Fatiha.
Okay.
You know, it's sometimes called the 7 verses repeated.
The 7 verses repeated.
Why is that?
Why is that?
What's so special about the number 7?
It's not necessarily about the number itself.
Oh.
It's about what it represents.
Okay.
You know, the name Sabul Mathani highlights the fact that the Fatiha is recited multiple times in every single prayer.
So it's not just a one-time deal.
It's not a one-time deal.
You're reciting these verses over and over again.
Over and over throughout your life.
Throughout your life. Constantly reaffirming your commitment to those core principles.
That must have a powerful
impact.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
And speaking of reaffirming, you know, there's this amazing story about the Prophet Muhammad referring to the Fatiha as one of 2 lights that were given to him that no other prophet before him
it's amazing.
Had received.
Yeah, it really is.
What's the other light?
The other light is the Quran itself.
Whoa. Okay. So it's highlighting the importance of the Fatiha.
The importance within the broader context.
The broader context of
Islamic revelation.
Islamic revelation.
Yeah.
And there's this hadith that really stuck with me. It says that the Prophet Muhammad told someone, I've been given the Fatiha from the treasures beneath the throne.
Wow.
I mean, that sounds pretty...
That's epic.
Epic.
Yeah, it speaks to the Fatiha's profound spiritual value.
Yeah, like it's this...
It's not just a chapter of the Quran, from a treasure to be cherished.
Tias Ram.
Contemplated.
Okay, yeah.
And lived by.
I'm seeing the bigger picture here.
Good.
But I have to ask about this name, the sufficient.
Yeah.
How can 7 verses be sufficient?
That's a bold claim.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
How can 7 verses encompass
all that? The remarkable ability of the Fatiha to encompass these core principles of Islamic belief and practice.
Okay.
It's sufficient in the sense that it contains the essential guidance needed to connect with God.
Okay.
Understand your purpose.
So it's like the Cliff's Notes.
Yes.
For a meaningful existence.
Yes, the Cliff's Notes for a meaningful existence.
Yeah, all the key takeaways.
All the key takeaways.
Packed into these
7 powerful verses.
Powerful verses.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so special.
Yeah.
It's both accessible and profound.
Okay.
Simple enough to memorize.
Yeah.
But deep enough to spend a lifetime exploring.
Okay.
And that's what makes it so special.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have?
But there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to talk about.
Right.
This Amin.
Yes.
That said, after reciting the Fatiha, where did that come from?
Amin, which means so be it, or may it be so, is not technically part of the Fatiha itself.
Okay.
But it's become so integral to its recitation that it feels almost incomplete.
Right, so it's like this addendum that became like a must-have.
Became a must-have.
Is it even mentioned in the Quran?
Interestingly enough, Amin doesn't appear in the written text of the Quran.
Okay.
But it's considered a sunnah.
Okay.
A practice of the Prophet Muhammad himself.
Right.
Which makes it highly recommended for Muslims.
And there's this really cool story about the Prophet teaching his companions to say Amin after the Fatiha.
Yes.
And he said that the angels say Amin too. And whoever's Amin syncs up with the angels.
Yes.
Will have their past sins forgiven.
A powerful image, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our voices joining with his heavenly chorus.
Yeah.
This collective affirmation of the Fatiha's message.
Yeah, and even the word Amin itself has multiple layers of meaning.
Absolutely.
Some scholars see it as a seal of approval on the Fatiha. Others view it as an expression of hope and trust.
Hope and trust,
that God will answer.
That God will answer our prayers.
There's one interpretation that I find really striking.
Okay.
Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet's cousin and son-in-law, said that Amin is the seal of the Lord of the Worlds.
Wow, that's powerful.
I mean, that's heavy.
It really is.
Like it's saying Amin carries this weight of divine authority.
Divine authority.
That it confirms.
Yeah, it elevates
and validates.
From a simple affirmation to a powerful declaration.
Everything that came before it.
Signifying the acceptance and fulfillment.
We've been talking about the Fatiha for a while now, and I'm realizing how much depth and meaning is packed into each word, each phrase.
It's like a bottomless well.
It really is, like a bottomless well of wisdom.
Yeah. But there's this one
fascinating aspect of the Fatiha we haven't touched on yet.
Let's do it.
This debate surrounding the Bismillah.
Yes, the Bismillah.
We talked about it briefly.
We did at the beginning, but we didn't really get into
the nitty-gritty.
The nitty-gritty of why there's so much controversy.
So much controversy.
Over a few words.
Few words.
Right, it's wild.
So remind me again, what's the...
That's the big debate.
Big debate about?
Well, the debate centers around whether the Bismillah is actually part of the Fatiha itself.
Okay.
Or just a separate invocation that precedes it.
Okay.
It sounds simple enough.
Yeah.
But it gets pretty complex when you dive into all the textual analysis.
Okay, break it down for me.
And the historical arguments.
Why are scholars so divided on this?
So the arguments revolve around things like the placement of the Bismillah in early Quranic manuscripts.
Okay.
Narrations of the Prophet's recitation, and even legal rulings related to prayer.
Okay.
So some scholars point to the fact that the Bismillah often appears on its own line, separate from the first verse of the Fatiha, in many early manuscripts.
Okay.
They also cite narrations where the Prophet Muhammad recited the Fatiha without explicitly mentioning the Bismillah.
So they're seeing it as like this beautiful preface.
A preface, a way to set the tone.
But not technically part of the Fatiha.
But not technically part of the Fatiha.
Structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have other scholars who argue just as passionately that the Bismillah is an integral part of the Fatiha. They point to other narrations where the Prophet did include the Bismillah in his recitation.
Okay.
And they emphasize the fact that it appears consistently at the beginning of every chapter in the Quran.
Right.
Except for chapter 9.
So for them, it's like this foundation upon which the entire Fatiha...
Upon which the entire Fatiha is built.
And
removing it diminishes its completeness,
its
spiritual significance.
So it's a big debate.
Big debate.
It's been going on for centuries.
It's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
How something so seemingly simple can spark such intense
debate.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, for someone like me just trying to understand the Fatiha, should I be reciting the Bismillah or not?
I think that's a question that each individual has to answer.
Final verdict.
For themselves.
Yeah.
Based on their own understanding and the guidance they receive from scholars they trust.
Yeah.
You know, the beauty of this debate is that it encourages us to delve deeper.
Okay.
To engage with different perspectives.
Right.
And to make informed decisions about our own practice.
So it's not about finding the one right answer.
Not about finding the one right answer.
It's about the process of...
It's about the process.
Seeking knowledge and understanding.
Of seeking knowledge and understanding.
Yeah.
And ultimately, whether we include the Bismillah explicitly in our recitation or simply hold its meaning in our hearts as a guiding principle, the message remains the same. To begin every endeavor with awareness of Allah's presence and blessings.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It's a reminder that every action, every thought can be infused with a sense of the sacred if we approach it with the right intention.
And that, I think, is at the heart of the Fatiha.
It is.
Cultivating that consciousness of God.
The consciousness of God.
That permeates every aspect of our life.
That permeates every aspect of our lives.
You know, it's amazing to me how even just a few words like, in the name of God, can spark such deep contemplation and debate.
It's incredible.
It reminds me of that saying, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Right.
But the most interesting journeys rarely are.
That's a perfect analogy.
And I feel like that's what we've been doing with this deep dive into the Fatiha.
We have taken the scenic route, haven't we?
We have. We really have. We've explored these linguistic nuances and historical debates and a whole spectrum of interpretations.
Yeah, a whole spectrum.
But through it all, we've seen how these 7 verses act as this powerful compass pointing us towards a life.
Pointing us in the right direction.
Aligned with the divine.
Yeah.
And it's not just about understanding the words.
Yeah.
It's about letting them guide your steps.
Letting them guide your steps, absolutely.
You know, what's remarkable to me is that the Fatiha's message resonates even with people who aren't familiar with Islamic tradition.
I think anyone can connect with the themes of gratitude and seeking guidance.
Yeah.
And acknowledging something greater than themselves.
And of course, for Muslims, it's not just this beautiful poetry.
Right. It's a cornerstone.
It's a cornerstone of their faith.
of their faith.
Reciting the Fatiha in every prayer is like this.
It's like a daily ritual.
Daily ritual.
Of connecting with God.
Of connecting with God.
Renewing their commitment.
And renewing their comment to that.
To the straight path.
Straight path. It's like they're constantly reminding themselves. Of those paths to avoid. Those paths of wrath and straying that we talked about.
Yeah, the paths of wrath and straying.
It's pretty powerful.
Powerful way to stay grounded.
And
focused on what truly matters.
It makes me think about all those names.
Yeah,
we discussed at the beginning. The cure, the essential, the treasure.
Each one, yeah.
It's like each one is like a facet, a precious jewel.
Precious jewel, yeah. Revealing a different aspect. Of the Fatiha's beauty and power.
Yeah,
I love that.
You know, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have covered a lot.
In this deep dive. Yeah. And it might feel...
overwhelming.
A bit overwhelming to some...
The beauty is that it's a living text.
You're right. If you're thinking...
You know, it speaks to each person differently.
I'm never going to remember all this.
In each moment.
Don't worry. That's not the point.
Yeah. It's not about memorizing.
It's not about memorizing interpretations.
Yeah. It's more about...
But more about letting the words resonate.
Letting those words resonate.
With your own heart and mind.
With your own heart and mind.
So think of it as a starting point.
Yeah.
An invitation to embark on your own journey.
What parts of the Fatiha speak to you most directly?
What questions does it raise for you?
How
does it make you feel? Yeah.
You know, that straight path isn't a destination.
Not a destination.
You reach.
It's a journey.
It's a journey you're constantly on. It's about continually striving to align your life with the divine.
Yeah.
To live with intention and purpose.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Don't just read the Fatiha. Experience it. Let its words guide.
Let it guide you.
Your thoughts. Your actions. Your very being.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe in those quiet moments of contemplation, you'll discover your own unique interpretation, adding your voice to the chorus of understanding that has echoed through the centuries.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful tradition.
Until next time, keep diving deep.